Hello and welcome back to the Wasteland, everybody. Welcome back to New Vegas, where today we're going to be taking a look at the automatic rifle. This is the big old machine gun you find in Dead Money. This is based off of a BAR, which I wish we could get more weapons like this in the Fallout series, because this is just such a cool weapon overall. This is one of the few ballistic weapons that you can find in Dead Money. There are a couple that you can find around Dead Money. This, the police pistol are very common, and then there's some other less common ones that you can find, like the single shot shotgun, a lever action shotgun. I think you can find a hunting shotgun and like a 9mm pistol. There's a couple of those, but primarily the main two ballistic weapons in Dead Money are the police pistol and the BAR, or the automatic rifle. So with the automatic rifle being a big old gun, this one requires quite a lot of stats in order to wield effectively. This one requires 100 guns and 8 strength in order to wield. Quite a lot, as you would kind of expect, especially for a full auto 308 gun. That would make sense as to why you would need so much strength in order to fire this. This one does 40 damage on hit, which is fairly high, although it is, I think, the lowest out of any of the 308 guns. This is a full auto weapon, though, and it has the largest magazine out of any of the 308 guns, though, so it is a little bit more balanced because of that. This one does 240 damage per second, so quite high damage per second. This one has 40 crit damage on it, which is pretty good. This has a very low crit chance at 0.18 times. That's not too uncommon for full auto weapons. They tend to have very low crit chances. This one's a bit higher than average, but it's still not that great compared to pretty much any of the other 308 weapons. This one requires 35 action points to use in VATS, which actually isn't too much for a full auto weapon like this, so that's not too bad. This one does have a lot of spread at 2.5. It isn't super accurate. It's about as accurate as a lot of the submachine guns. Even less accurate than some of the submachine guns and less accurate than other full auto weapons. The sights are also misaligned in the base game. The BAR that you're seeing in the background of the footage actually does have correctly aligned sights and just better sights in general, in my opinion. So that one isn't going to be as accurate as the actual BAR that's in the game. This doesn't change the stats of the weapon at all. It just changes the way that it looks. This one has a magazine of 20 rounds. This one weighs 16 weight, so it is fairly heavy. And this has 200 item HP. 200 item HP can go through fairly fast with a full auto weapon. I wish this had a bit more health. And 16 weight is heavy, but that is pretty accurate to a BAR as far as I'm aware. That actually might be a little bit lighter than an actual BAR when it's fully loaded. For the pros of the BAR, or the automatic rifle, I'm just going to keep calling it a BAR because that's what it is. It has really high damage per second. It has some of the highest DPS out of any of the weapons, which is really good. And this one has a great ammo overall. 308 is really good. Basically, any weapon that shoots 308 is going to be really strong because it is just such a good ammo. And all of them have just high base stats in general. For the cons of this weapon, though, at least the major cons are, this is a Dead Money related weapon, so you will have to go and do that DLC in order to get it to bring it back to the Wasteland. It's quite strong in the DLC, but you do have limited ammo there, so it might not be a super tempting option a lot of the time. And it also has really bad spread, as well as the sights aren't aligned in the regular game. So those are a problem. At longer ranges, the BAR is just not very accurate. You want to be using this at close to medium range. But if you are using it at close to medium range, it can be quite devastating. There aren't a whole lot of perks that help out the BAR, though. This isn't affected by Grunt, which would also make sense, but then that would also probably buff the battle rifle, and that would also be really strong. I don't think that would be overpowered, though, since Cowboy buffs like the brush gun, so I don't know. Grunt doesn't help it, but Heavyweight does. Heavyweight can actually cut this thing's weight in half, so it goes from 16 weight down to just 8 weight, which does make it a lot more handy. It makes it a lot more usable, and you are going to be picking up multiple of these once you go through Dead Money. Another perk that could help out with this is like jury rigging, because you're probably going to want to repair the automatic rifle pretty often since it can break pretty quick. Luckily, you can repair it with other semi-automatic and fully automatic rifles, though, so if you just buy like service rifles, you can fix up the automatic rifle. You're good to go. For the different ammos, this one does shoot the regular 308, which is quite strong by itself, but it does have a couple other options that you could do, and the regular 308s just do standard damage. You have armor-piercing rounds, which can punch through armor and give you a slight nerf to damage. These are really strong, especially if you're fighting things like Deathclaws. They can just rip right through anything. You've also got the hollow point rounds, which will give you more damage, but give the enemy more armor. I really don't use 308 hollow point rounds all that often, but they can be quite strong, especially against weaker bodied enemies like Kazdors that don't have any armor. Can be really good then. And then we have the jacketed soft points, which can be made from the perk hand loader, and this gets you even more damage but breaks your weapon slightly faster. Not a huge trade-off, though. I really like these rounds. These are one of my favorite rounds, and you can convert just regular 308s into them, so you can buy a whole bunch of 308s from quite a few different vendors. They're a fairly common ammo type. And yeah, if you just turn them into the jacket hollow points, they're going to do a lot of damage to anything. For an overall rating for the automatic rifle, I'd probably put this thing all the way up into S tier. It is a very strong weapon. It does a lot of damage per second, shoots a really good round, has a lot going for it. It also just looks really cool. I really like the BAR look anyway. There is one mod that you can also put on the automatic rifle. We're not going to be putting up another graph for it because it would still be S tier. The upgrade is really good though. This is increased springs. So this gives you 10% increase to your rate of fire, so you get even more DPS. That's really nice, especially for a weapon like this. It's not a huge buff, but it is still a buff, and it's a buff to an already very strong weapon, so that's really good. Just like all the upgrades in Dead Money, you do need to get them in Dead Money, because you can't go back to it once you've completed the DLC, and there's certain areas you can't go back to anyway. So be on the lookout for the automatic rifle component. Then you can buy this from any of the grifters around there, the vendors, and then you can stick it on there, and you'll have an even more devastating weapon. Very strong weapon overall, and definitely one of the coolest guns in my opinion in this game. Tell me your thoughts on the automatic rifle and how do you enjoy it? I think it's a really strong gun and a really cool looking gun. Thank you guys so very much for watching this. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I'll talk to you next time. Bye bye everybody.